We're back. We're back. We're back. Good local time.
Instead of asking people to subscribe and like and do all the helpful stuff to us at the end, I'm going to just do it now because the numbers have increased. But again, the sneaky little metrics behind the scenes are still telling us that like 48 to 52% or something along those lines is of listeners, active listeners, are still not subscribed. So shame on you. No, if you could do us a favor and just, it takes 3 seconds or less. Just subscribe and like and do all the stuff that you're supposed to say. But yeah, now we can actually get into the. Is your background moving there on your laptop? Show everyone what you've put on your screensaver, Jerry.
Can you see it? Fuck it, it's gone. You'll have to see when it comes up. It's just a whole lot of blockmate stuff. I've become a little bit of a blockmates addict. Let's kick right off. It's fucking dog season, boys. It literally is dog season.
Mate, send it. Send all the dogs. Every single one of them.
Did you check Elon Musk's post?
Yeah, bro.
I mean, like, what the actual? I mean, we've been talking about it. It was mentioned numerous times. Is he going to turn Dogecoin into the currency for Twitter? I mean, if that isn't a clear indication that he's going to do it, then I don't actually know what is.
Bro, in both newsletters on Friday and then yesterday, I did a chart of Doge. Like yesterday's was then versus now, and like
Yes.
I put the target in it, mate. It's absolutely moonshoot. So I've seen a massive correlation between what we put in that newsletter and how we move the markets.
We move the market. Elon's got nothing to do with it.
Oh, mate,
You got
Elon.
Did you just call him in? Just say like, look, Elon, I've just posted this in the newsletter, so you need to drop some kind of hint.
I got him on speed dial. I can call him now if you want.
What this is like Hasaka is without a doubt my favorite trader. I think it's because I like how narrative and sentiment driven he is, and I think that's probably where I align a lot of my best trades with as well. And kind of just learning from what he said. But this is a perfect tweet of like, this is when you know you've got your shit together of how this whole little game works, because that's all it is. So Hasaka retweeted the picture of a pumpkin with a Twitter sign cut out of it, and then what's the dog called? Is the dog called Floki?
That's Floki, yeah. I think that's Floki, yeah.
So Elon just tweeted it with a wink-faced emoji. He knows exactly what he's doing. And then Hasaka's retweeted it saying, all the algos were passing for a tweet text, but none of them accounted for image recognition. And that's so right, because there must be so many Twitter APIs plugged into Elon Musk's account that, like, basically the effective script would be if Elon mentions Doge by X amount of Doge. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty genius.
Yeah, that is pretty genius. Wow. Okay.
Even Floki sending. I'd completely forgotten about that one.
Have a look. Let's bring it up.
It's guys, seriously, it's dog season. And it's not even like, I don't think it's going to be a few days. I think we're going to have let's just look at the reality of the markets for this week. I mean, obviously there's a whole lot of like bullshit things on the calendar. I mean, everyone's been posting calendars around all this macro stuff. I reckon that macro stuff is gonna beat Bitcoin around like the ragged doll that it is. But these dogs, I reckon these dogs are gonna freaking fly into the weekend. That's my call.
Yeah, I think we've got a pump until tomorrow's FOMC meeting. Then there's going to be a horrendous dump, and then we'll get back to it.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Let's have a look at Doge then.
Oh, dude, Doge is like up 120% since
look at that
last weekend.
That's on the 4 hour. Kind of if you need any more evidence that this is just a whole meta game of narrative and sentiment, then that's it right
This
there.
is it.
140%. I've seen a few people that typically like to short stuff just constantly posting about how they were short and because if you look at it, where is it? You could have said like this looks a little bit like a complacency swing failure, and that's why we've seen this big red candle there on the 4 hour. But it's just like, the market's just waiting for the slightest indication, even if it wasn't like that. This is very like obvious. Do you know what I mean? But they probably would have taken anything out of context and allowed it to pump. So it's just like, you can't just be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. And yeah, they've obviously got their ass fed to them on this particular trade. So best of luck.
I reckon this is probably the most tricky and stupid thing to short. And for a while, I think for a long while to come, because this thing ain't going away. I mean, do you see what he's renamed himself? Have you seen just go back to the Osaka tab. You see what Elon's named? He's called the Twitter compliant hotline operator. That's what his name is.
Oh.
Like, is the dude actually anything but a complete lunatic?
Mate, he's a true DJ. Like, he is.
He's a complete lunatic. DJ. He really is, and he figured that.
That's all that matters. That little price increase line there. I'll get all these height of bull market shit out the way, but it's still 405% away from all-time high, and that's the stupidest and easiest thing you need. Because again, getting back to narrative sentiment, that's all you need to tell someone who's very unsophisticated in the market is going to come in and market buy. That's literally all you need to say. It's 400% from all-time high.
Don't you think that this is possibly one of the most beautiful things that could happen in this entire market, like across the board, from Asia to America to Africa to TradFi to crypto? The Doge coin completely and utterly obliterates the market cap of Bitcoin, for one. I mean, imagine that happen.
Mate,
like, I'm in, dude. I'm like all for this now. I'm like, I'm in. I mean, imagine that. Is it 20?
I wonder, I wonder what the issuance has been since. We can probably do. I don't like doing public maths, but right. So, what was the price? Can someone work out the price at all-time high? And I'm going to find out the market cap at all-time high, and we can work backwards from there.
Oh.
Right. So, market cap at the peak was 88 billion. It's fucking nuts.
I mean, 88 billion.
Right. So, market cap
on May the 8th, 2021, Doge hit a price of 0.682. That was its all-time high.
Right. 2 seconds. Just talk between yourselves, and I'm going to work this out.
So it's 0.682. So I mean, if it went to 0.682, then I reckon it'll probably be sufficient with the current issuance. How much Dogecoin gets issued every day? Does anyone know?
No idea. What was it at all-time high? 682?
Yeah, 0.682. I mean, the 24-hour volume on Doge trading was 5.36 billion, dude.
See, there's been right. So at market cap all-time high of 88 billion and token price of 0.682, there were effectively 130 billion tokens, right?
Okay.
Now we've had an issuance of around 6 or 7 billion tokens. So you've been diluted by 6 6 over 136, effectively, whatever that is.
15%. Or is it 20%? 20%.
6 by 136. 4.4%. So not a lot.
Yeah.
So not a lot.
It's definitely
really
doable.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to see it. I mean, it would be one of the. It will be one for the ages. It will go down in history as probably one of the greatest things and one of the most ridiculous things to happen in trading, if you can call it trading.
Mate, if he pumps that to $1 by Christmas, that will be hilarious.
If it goes to $1 by Christmas, there will be people weeping and hurting themselves voluntarily. That alone will be worth it.
I will be, because I don't.
Can you imagine the Bitcoin maxis will lose their minds?
I think, you've just got to see how the rest of this week plays out. I don't know if there's anything coming following that, but it could be a complete steal.
We've got the FOMC tomorrow. There's a couple of other things as well. Isn't the production thing as well coming out? There's a whole lot of gremlins under the bed that need to be swept out.
We could go straight back to Goblin Town this week. Like, we're getting hyped up over like a 15% pump on Doge, but literally Jay Powell could absolutely crush everything for us. Like, we could see Bitcoin like slam back down to like sub 19 in theory, if Jay Powell really decides to put a doo-doo on it.
Check Dogecoin. Vine. I mean, obviously Vine would come up.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. You can just write it.
Can you see on the chart, like right on the left-hand side, though you had those 2 weeks that kind of broke out over the line, a little bit of a consolidation, and bam! Look at that. That is timed with Christmas. Yeah, look at that. That's timed with Christmas. I can tell. 100%. Not financial advice, but look at that. That could be where we're about to go. 2 weeks of just pure chaos, consolidation, and boom.
Well, you got people staying at home, reading the news a lot more than they usually would. And, this Twitter story is big news. I mean, like the traditional news hounds are very aware of what's going on with Twitter. I mean, it was a $44 billion transaction. It's in the news. And if there's anything that's going to be a catalyst for this thing to go absolutely bananas, it's absolutely definitely the frickin' Elon Musk and the Dogecoin bullshit story that's going at the moment. I'm in, guys. I'm definitely in to watch the Bitcoin maxis cry. I'm in.
What is Doge BTC look like?
I'm sure it must be crashing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at the state of that, yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, I was watching Ledger and the Duck and Cred were chatting about the markets yesterday, and I really enjoy their show on the Mondays, and it was like a resounding and unanimous like Bitcoin is just completely pathetic at the moment. It's like it's completely useless. It's like it just like Cred's like send it to zero. Let's just go to zero and get it over and done with. And it really does look like a wet potato. Like it's just terrible at the moment.
Yeah, I very rarely look at it, to be honest.
It's not doing great.
The ETH BTC chart looks like it's gonna have its third attempt at trying to break out of there. So we'll see. That's interesting. What about BNB? Because I made the case for this last week, and it's done. Yeah,
it's done exactly that. I mean, I actually landed up drawing a chart off the back of a number of narratives, yours being one of them, and just like, well, we got BNB in with Twitter and the rest of it. Posted the chart in my channel, and then literally 36 hours later, it did exactly that. It just went absolutely straight up. It broke out like it hasn't broken out in a very long time. And it can only be the Twitter narrative. I mean, they've got $500 million in Twitter. You know, they're going to play a big part in marketing their machine. You know, like, you know, you've got FTX, who's definitely on the back foot at the moment. Sam obviously had that debate with Voorhees. That went very badly for him.
Yeah, that was a shit show. That was a complete
shit show.
PR.
Absolutely.
PR
he got completely, literally he got gutted and stripped and filleted and put on the grill. That's what happened to him. There's no other way to describe what happened to Sam. He got absolutely shredded.
Yeah, based on that, it was like he was trying to appease regulators by releasing some form of content or opinion around his regulatory stance, but hadn't actually thought it through to the nth degree. And like, if you're in that position, you're the founder of one of the biggest institutions in crypto, if not the biggest, aside from Binance, you best make sure your opinion is rooted in as much thought and fact as physically possible, because you've got these complete OGs of the space like Voorhees that, you know, he's a little bit of, well, he's not a little bit, he's a huge proponent and philosopher in the space in its own right, isn't he? So it's like, don't go like stick to your lane if you're not completely kind of cocksure of your opinion, because you just got completely destroyed. And if you do have did have political aspirations, it's I think he's going to have to do an awful lot of revision on that, because it was like basic kind of debate that Voorhees just tied him up in knots with. And it's obviously something that Voorhees has been thinking about for the past however long, decade, maybe, well, a little bit longer than that. And that was just like a battleground that Sam just really didn't deserve to be in, because he just got chewed up and spat out. It was quite painful to listen to, actually. I don't know what you think about it.
Was the scene out of Indiana Jones where the guy comes out into the clearing with a sword and does this like sword maneuver, and then Indiana Jones pulls out his pistol and shoots him. That's what that was. It's like, yeah, I got all the money, I've got all the swords, I've got all the outfits, but I'm no match to a bullet. And that's what happened. Anyway, so we're in for an interesting time. So the Binance engine is right now, it's untouchable, and I mean, I'll be surprised if Binance doesn't continue off the back. You know, as long as Bitcoin behaves itself, Binance is on its way to $400. It's quite simple, really.
What, like, in theory, what's best case for Binance out of this investment in Twitter? Because I read the conversations around what was happening with when Sam wanted to give Elon like 15 billion or something towards the acquisition of Twitter. And like from record and from, I don't know if it's true or what, but you know, it was written in multiple places, but it effectively said that Elon didn't want to have a laborious conversation about blockchain. So he didn't want to take the meeting with Sam. I can imagine CZ's just said, there's the fucking money. I don't want to just, but there's got to be an angle, and everyone wants that little slice of the pie, and everyone wants, it can't just be can it just be a vague investment from Binance? I don't think CZ does anything without it being calculated, but what would the angle be there? Can't run Twitter on BSC.
It's got to be algorithm, because right now, like the ETH microcaps, that's like what CT feels like. Like you don't really see too many people popping up on BSC. So it would make sense that CZ and like has a little chat with Elon. It's like, look, can we change the algorithm? You know, put a few less ETH shit coins through the works and put a little bit more BSC coins through the works. Like generally that would make sense. Or have like certain things relating to Binance pop up in the feeds.
Or I suppose if they're gonna make the code, the algorithm open source, Suppose if
Did they say they were going to do that?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's what I thought was going to happen. And ideally, if Binance could get a couple of weeks runway on that, or what the changes were going to be.
You've also got like the Twitter wallet, right? So Twitter's creating their own wallet. They're going to need to build on something.
I think from a boomer's perspective, it's very simple business, gentlemen. It's kind of like he started it off this morning, last night, with a picture of a dog in a Twitter jersey. Why wouldn't he initiate Doge payments on the Twitter platform? But maybe even make it more sophisticated and more user-friendly for crypto to be implemented into the interface that is Twitter. So that's the first thing. Who do you think is going to land up processing those payments? Binance, bro. Binance is the one that's going to be the backbone around that whole thing. And there's your business. That's a very simple 2 + 2 = 4 business. And then from there comes the algos and all the stuff that you guys are talking about. It's quite beautiful, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah,
the boys are in.
You could definitely see there's a few things that there's one, he already allows like Tesla and SpaceX merch to be purchased using Doge. 2, they want to start charging for verification. 3, they're trying to create this super follower role and to increase monetization. You could always implement tipping or super follower through something that is extremely cheap, extremely quick, like Doge. It just makes a lot of sense. For better or for worse, for better or for worse, that's probably what it'll be. He's given them a week to figure out the payments, verified payments, and if they don't figure it out, they're fired. Apparently.
Did you see the video clip of how he fired the
Parag,
the individual? Yeah, the individual who basically banned who was the main decision maker in banning Trump. What was her name?
I can't remember her name, but I remember having to turn off her podcast with Joe Rogan because it was just, they just had this kind of whole idea and philosophy, and it was like it was rot inside the app, wasn't it? It was just like letting kind of like woke ideologies take over a technology platform that's supposed to be, well, ideally, as they like to call it, like an internet's town square or something along those lines. It was It wasn't going in the right direction at all. It really, really wasn't.
I think this is going to be a really interesting study post this obviously takeover purchase and how it plays out. I think it's going to be a really interesting story, like in the coming weeks and months and years. Keep your eyes on it because it's definitely not going to be business as usual. I think a lot is going to change.
But Jack's back as well. Like Jack's trying to build out Blue Sky now, which is like another decentralized social media. Like it begs a question, like, dude, why did you sell Twitter? Dude, you had like decentralized social media at your fingertips. I know you went all hippie and everything like a few years back, but
I reckon he sold it because the rot. You could argue the rot was so thick that he didn't see. Maybe he just didn't have the energy or the strategic know-how. Dude, Elon Musk arrives at the Twitter head office with a freaking bathroom sink. If you didn't work out what he was going to do when he walked into the building with a freaking basin in his hands, then that's what it needed. It needed someone to literally throw the kitchen sink at the company. And that's what he's doing. He's firing. He's like, he doesn't care. And that's what it needed. Clearly.
Yeah. Jack still got around 2% stake in Twitter. So he's retained his like $1 billion of it. So that's effectively saved. It's effectively saved Elon $1 billion because Jack's being allowed to retain his stake. And I think this has always been the plan. I think this has always been like the couple of chess moves ahead where Jack retains a stake, Elon takes over, takes it private. There was obviously a couple of chess moves in that whole hostile acquisition and hostile takeover and things like that. They take it private. They do all the ruthless stuff that needs to be done. They monetize better. They create it into a proper product and allow it to just
triple the price.
Flip it for triple, quadruple the price, then retake it public, and Elon probably comes in to save the day.
And you guys heard it here on the DGen show. Just remember this, because it's going to land up playing out exactly like that.
But Jack's played a blinder, really. He's like,
yeah, he is.
He's left with a stake. Now you can put your tinfoil hat on for a minute and say, was the hire of Parag to be completely incompetent a strategic move? Because they knew what was coming. What I will say about Parag is that he's got like 44 billion for his investors and his shareholders, so he's done a good job there. But it speaks volumes that he was the first to go. Yeah. So you can look at that. You just never know how long this was planned for, and how many moves ahead these people need to think.
Remember they had that meeting, Elon. It was also, what's her name, Kathy
Wood.
Jack. Yeah, they had that whole meeting around the energy thing around Bitcoin. Do you remember that? I wouldn't be surprised is when that plan was hatched around that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, wait, maybe we should do this. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's meet for coffee. Oh, let's meet for tequilas. That's a very good idea. Ooh. Let's do it. Oh my goodness.
Are there any other standout projects away from this narrative? I know it's extremely strong and it probably will be drawing liquidity from all corners of the market, but anything else?
I think for me, like, my big focus at the moment is what's happening in the layer zero space. There's a lot of really interesting projects that I think we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. So that's definitely on my radar. It's something that I was, and Messi also posted about it. He posted about it actually earlier on. And it was something that I'd posted about as well yesterday, is that like there really is an opportunity to go out there and as Messi put it, and dig for gold. Like, stop sitting on your ass, like not doing anything. Like, this is the perfect time to go out there and really start asking the questions, like do the wallet tracking. I mean, just the stuff that we've been chatting about quite a bit, like in the last 2-3 weeks. Like, super motivated around that, particularly around layer zero, because you've got this idea where you don't have to move around anymore. So if you don't have to move around, which projects are going to make things even better now? Like, so you look at something like Tapioca, where they're going to like do the lending and borrowing thing and provide liquidity across, I think they're doing 11 chains. Dude, that's a game changer right there. And then there's others that are doing, pure token transfers without any friction whatsoever. So you can move freaking anything you want to anywhere, and from a shitcoin to, a major, no issues. Go do it. So I'm looking at projects that I think will have relevance, like in the medium to long term. I don't think short term these projects are really like that significant, because there really isn't the capital to drive them. But I think once, like in 6 months' time, 8 months' time, whatever the case is, and I know it sounds like it's a long time away, but you need to have your plan in place. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, there's it's quite interesting to see a whole suite of products being built on top of GMX at the minute. I mean, there seems to be a couple on Arbitrum that have popped up. Dan, you actually were snooping at some wallets and picked a few up, didn't you? Like GMD came onto the market.
Yeah, so like
there was
those three guys that followed. Literally, each of them aimed 5 ETH in, like right at the bottom, like right at the start. I was like, oh, what's that? And it turns out became an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, DXP as well. We have to keep an eye on that. I don't know if that's just a fork of it, or they have a couple of tricks up the sleeve. But it's just interesting to see when you do get a project or a protocol that has, you know, the darling of the bear market effectively, and has like ultimate product market fit, because people are addicted to trading, people are addicted to perps. That you start to see like composability built on top of it, and like protocols building around it. So it's, and then you've also got like all the real yield products as well, that Umami, RoboVault, there's a couple more that are coming onto the market. So that's when you know you've got a good product, when everyone else is trying to build on top of you. So yeah. I wonder what GMX would be in a raging bull market, you know. Several billion, I think.
The thing is that all these trading platforms, I think, you know, provided they've got their rewards in place and they're looking after their users, they would all be. I think we'd actually be sitting here. Okay, we'd have the GMXs and we'd be like, okay, cool, that's the darling. But there'd be a whole lot more. That the whole narrative would be definitely around those trading derivatives platforms, and it would be like, okay, which one today? Okay, which one's going to run today, gentlemen? Oh, XYZ is going freaking parabolic. Okay, cool, let's go there. And that's what it would be. And then it would have its blow off top, and then we'd move on to the next one, and then it would recover, and then we'd do it all over again, and we'd all be rich, and we'd be living on tropical islands, and I'd be hosting dance parties.
And then we'd give all back to the market trying to trade the chop.
And then now we're trying to trade the chop. Yeah. But that's essentially what would be the case. I mean, I'm looking at Dopex right now, DPX, still one of my favorites, or it was one of my best trades for the last bull run. This thing will do well again. I think this is one of the few, you know, they say like a lot of protocols will never come back to all-time highs from a previous bull market. I think this is one of the rare ones that will. I really do believe that.
What makes you think
the same with the whales love it. And I mean, I know that's not really the right answer that you're essentially looking for, but the whales love this thing. They love getting involved in it. As soon as there's any opportunity, they get stuck in. They absolutely love it. And it's got the whole real yield thing, and it's, you know, the option side of it. It's
oh wow, it's nice chart.
Chart looks great, doesn't it? Problem I have with this is every time apart from when it had its like huge run up to like 3K or whatever it was just got chopped up to fuck, because liquidity is so high. It's like, you know, the kind of big players are still in it, so it's like the worst kept secret in on Arbitrum, really, isn't it? It's still a fucking fantastic product though. Really, really is great product.
I think what the Arbitrum ecosystem's done really well is they've built like a really good Twitter-based community, and I think that is shown across all of the projects on there as well. I really do think Andrew Saunders, like the chief marketing officer, is like, he has nailed this bear market to an absolute T. The way he's like advertising everything.
Arbitrum's the place to be. Arbitrum's the place to be. Like that, he doesn't stop doing that. He's just like this constant chant in the background.
It's
Arbitrum's
so
the place to be.
It's so clever. And then he like pops out some of the latest like NFTs that are coming in the ecosystem. You don't really see any other marketing dudes do that, mate. He is like the biggest shit poster in the world. It's great.
He's freaking the master.
Yeah.
He's playing the game and he knows his audience. Like, but it's not to the point where it's like he's just he's championing the space and the chain, and there's a really difficult balance that people struggle to get. But he's as you said, Danny's completely nailed it, hasn't he? So
he seems like a nice bloke, the kind of bloke you want to go for a couple of pints with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. and it's not easy to do that kind of thing in an online space, especially like Twitter, you know. And he's just managed to completely sell. I think it's genuine, to be honest. I mean, I don't actually think it's a bullshit story, and that's probably the reason why it comes across the way that it does. It's like, it's genuine. The dude's doing his job. He feels very passionate about what it is, and like, there's good reason. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on Arbitrum, and let's go and take a look. One last thing before we close the show. Bearer chain.
Fake or real?
There might be an opportunity. There might actually be an opportunity for us to meet Smokey the Bear somewhere along the line, in a forum, in a public forum that we might be attending or we might be hosting. I don't have details yet. This could be a complete psyops. I don't know. But what's happening with Bearer Chain? Has anyone heard anything?
Fake chain.
It's fake. It doesn't exist.
Not real.
Is it still fake though? So Smokey the Bear doesn't actually exist. You might be Smokey the Bear, Grant.
No, I've spoke to him. He's actually real, but
okay.
Barachain is
the other guy's unreal.
Yeah, no. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Okay, so it's all smoke and mirrors, and on that note, I think we will call it. Anything else? No? Yes?
No, there might be some listeners who are in Lisbon.
We're going to Lisbon. I leave tomorrow morning. I fly out of Cape Town and I go to Lisbon, and we're going to the Breakpoint Solana conference. And for all those people that don't believe Solana is a thing, guess what? You are wrong. It is. And there's a lot happening, and we're going to go and check it out, and we'll bring back some news next week. Hopefully get to interview some cool people and have some podcasts up and lots to talk about.
So if you are in Lisbon and you fancy like getting some paella with the boys, let's go.
Come say hi. Yeah. Send us a DM on Twitter. Once again, like and subscribe. Thank you for joining us.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
Take it easy.
Artlist.io